On July 1st, 2025 at 2:47 p.m., the federal courtroom in Manhattan froze. After more than 2 months of chilling testimonies, explosive revelations, and overwhelming evidence, the long-awaited verdict had fallen. But this wasn't a clear verdict. It was neither a conviction nor an acquittal. It was a partial verdict. The clerk read in a neutral voice, "Verdict rendered on charges 2 through 5. The jury deadlocked on charge number 1. And that's where everything collapsed, because this charge number 1 was the most important one, the racketeering charge under the RICO law. The one that linked all of Diddy's alleged crimes into a well-oiled criminal machine. The one that could earn him life in prison. In the courtroom, Sean Combs, who had arrived with his usual defiant demeanor, slumped in his chair. His lawyers formed a circle around him, and he, the all-powerful man, the one who dominated the music industry for 3 decades, rubbed his eyes. No relief, no triumph, just the face of a man who understands that even his empire can no longer control everything. But what few people saw was the real story behind this verdict. Because this wasn't simply a judicial deadlock, it was a maneuver. A negotiation in the shadows, and at the heart of this strategy, one name keeps coming back: Juror number 25. To understand this partial verdict, we must go back to June 30th, 2025, the first day of deliberations. That day, the 12 jurors received 62 pages of detailed instructions from Judge Aaron Sobranian. Every word weighed, every legal definition carefully laid out. It was now up to them to say whether Sean Combs was guilty or not of the most serious crimes of his career. But from the very first hours, a problem was reported. Juror number 25 allegedly declared out loud that he would not follow the judge's instructions. He allegedly refused to apply the law as it was written. A serious declaration. Normally, this should have been enough to disqualify him. And yet he remained. He participated in all deliberations, and today, some say he wasn't there by chance. Research has revealed that this person has been working in the entertainment industry for more than 15 years. They allegedly have professional ties with people close to Diddy. They allegedly have financial interests in companies collaborating with Bad Boy Records. They allegedly even have cross-connections in certain high-level charity events. So let's ask the question, would such a conflicted juror have been kept without reason, or was he the central piece of a broader strategy? Because to bring down a RICO case, you don't need to convince an entire jury. A single juror who refuses to recognize the predicate crimes is enough to block the whole thing. Kidnapping, witness intimidation, sex trafficking, drug distribution. You just need to plant out on 2 of them, and the entire machine collapses. What makes this partial verdict even more troubling is everything the jury heard and willingly dismissed. They saw Cassie Ventura, 8 months pregnant, testify for 4 days. She described how she was forced to participate in freak-offs under the influence of drugs without real consent. She showed her scars. She read her alert messages sent to her loved ones. They heard Jane Doe, another victim, tell how she was recruited at 19 years old, exploited, threatened. She attempted suicide 3 times before gathering the courage to testify. Her voice trembled, but her account was crystal clear. And that's not all. The staff around Diddy all told the same story. Drivers, assistants, majordomos, young women arriving at private villas, phones confiscated, drugs distributed like appetizers, and confidentiality contracts signed under pressure. The material evidence: more than 1,000 bottles of lubricant and baby oil found in his properties, weapons, unidentified pills, video recordings involving celebrities under judicial seal, text messages where victims begged for their safety, imposed abortions, secret payments, documents signed under threat. And despite all this, the jury is blocked on the most crucial charge. So let's ask the only real question that remains. How much evidence does it take for justice to work? Because if all this isn't enough to convict a man, what does it take? A live video, a confession, a corpse, or are some men too powerful to fall? This trial wasn't solely focused on sexual abuse. It was based on a much more ambitious strategy using the RICO law. This law historically used against mafias to demonstrate that Sean Combs ran an organized criminal enterprise. The principle of RICO is simple. If you prove that an individual committed at least 2 predefined criminal acts within a structure, you can hold him responsible for the entire network. And the acts in question were damning: sex trafficking, witness intimidation, drug distribution, transportation for prostitution purposes, kidnapping. The prosecution had a clear strategy: tie all the presented crimes into an organized scheme with Diddy as the conductor. But that's where everything collapsed, because Juror 25, by sowing doubt on the validity of 2 or 3 of these predicate acts, broke the chain, and without at least 2 acts recognized unanimously, RICO no longer holds. It's like pulling the first brick from an unstable wall. Without the foundation, the entire accusation crumbles. So the question is this: was this a maneuver? Because bringing down a RICO accusation isn't just saving one man, it's also protecting an entire network, a network of artists, executives, investors, politicians who could have been dragged down if this structure had been recognized. This partial verdict isn't a simple anomaly. It's the symptom of a broader system. A system that once again chooses preservation of the elite rather than justice for victims. Let's be clear, a total conviction of Diddy would have caused an earthquake. It would have forced the opening of new investigations. It would have splashed other celebrities, producers, elected officials, and even Wall Street investors. But a partial verdict is the perfect compromise, serious enough to give the illusion of justice served, but vague enough to avoid real damage. It's a classic of the system. We acknowledge some faults to calm public opinion, but bury what really bothers us. Remember Epstein, who benefited from a questionable agreement in Florida before the case resurfaced? Remember Harvey Weinstein, who walked free for years while all of Hollywood knew? And today, we find the same scenario in Diddy's trial. While lawyers negotiate and jurors debate, the real victims wait. Cassie Ventura, who had the courage to break the silence in November 2023, Jane Doe, who risked her life testifying with a covered face, and dozens of other women who contacted prosecutors without ever seeing their story brought before the jury. What are they told today? That with 34 witnesses, physical evidence, written messages, recordings, this isn't enough to obtain justice? They're told, "Thank you for your testimony, but what you experienced is only worth a partial verdict." This message is more than unfair. It's dangerous. It tells future victims that even if they speak, even if they expose everything, the system can still close in on itself. And it tells those who abuse their power, be careful, but not too much. There are lines not to cross. But if you're well surrounded, we'll cover you. And in this context, the half-justice obtained isn't progress, it's betrayal. A betrayal toward those who spoke despite fear. A betrayal toward those who still believe in the rule of law. A betrayal toward all of us who hoped this time would be different. But nothing has changed, not yet. Despite this partial verdict, the case is far from over. Judge Sobranian issued what's called an Allen charge, a directive authorizing the jury to return to deliberation to attempt to reach unanimity. It's a last hope, a call for unity. But according to sources close to the file, juror number 25 has already stated he won't change his mind. And meanwhile, fatigue sets in, tension rises. Some jurors hesitate, others give up. If the deadlock persists, the judge will declare a mistrial on the most serious charges. In this case, Diddy could get away with only a few years in prison. No life sentence, no RICO conviction, just a reduced sentence. A judicial compromise that has everything of a strategic victory for his defense. But the repercussions extend far beyond his person. Since the announcement of the partial verdict, social media has ignited. The hashtag Justice for Cassie has trended worldwide. Previously silent celebrities are beginning to speak out. Even within his own family, the displayed unity is beginning to crack. Some of his children have allegedly consulted lawyers. His eldest daughter would be seeking to legally distance herself from his name because they know what the public ignores. The worst revelations haven't been made public yet. This trial isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a dismantling. And facing this half-justice, everyone must ask themselves, are we going to turn the page or finally demand the complete truth?